really hoping the audio is okay. Hi guys, I'm back! This is the part 2 of the video on how to get a license in Singapore. I'll be sharing with you the process of getting a license in Singapore and how you can prepare for your practical test. I've also put some links in the description box below. So now, let's jump into it. First, decide whether you want to get an auto or a manual license. The pros and cons are pretty straightforward. Class 3A is usually much cheaper. Automatic cars are also largely available in Singapore and other countries. So if you want to get your license quickly, simply and easily, go for automatic license. During the months when I was considering, I thought maybe I should challenge myself and look at the benefits of getting a manual license. So of course, value-wise, it definitely makes more sense to get a manual license. But I do understand that people don't consider this as beneficial for them because it's more time consuming, requires more coordination. You really need to have that perseverance to go through it because really at the end of the last month, I really was dreading my lessons. At the end of it, when I got the license, I feel like a grown-up, you know? And I just really pat myself on the shoulder. Good job, Miawen. It's really worth challenging yourself and then awarding yourself with the result that you see. So my advice is to do something that's within your bandwidth. If you have the time, you have the resources, if you have the grit to go through this thing, then maybe you should consider taking a manual license. After you decided what license you want to get, sign yourself up on CDC website, and I really recommend you to head down to the office after you have made an appointment. Really just download their app. It's so useful because you get to book all your lessons on that platform and you'll get the latest update on which slots you can book for your lessons. Thirdly, get these books. Really, I tell you, it's so helpful. You gotta set the foundation right, I tell you. My advice is not to rely solely on the free tests online. I've read these through thoroughly. I really found it very helpful. I went on Google to search and understand the road condition. Why do I have to keep left, keep right when I'm driving on a certain road? These books are available at the vending machine just outside CDC Center. Educate yourself the right way, and I'm sure you will lay the right foundation for yourself. At this point, you can book your basic theory test on the CDC app. So once you pass your basic theory test, you'll be able to apply for a provisional driver license, aka PDL. This license will allow you, as a learner, to drive legally on the road. After 24 hours, you should be able to book your lessons on the app. You can begin booking your lessons with your private instructor while studying for your FTT. My tip number 1. Ask your friends for recommendation. You need to test out whether the instructor is suitable for you and adjust and adapt to your learning methods. You're paying for your own education. Or maybe someone is paying for your education, but you are the one who has to sit through this entire process. So choose wisely and communicate through your objective on what you want to get in this process. Second tip, if your schedule allows, set time aside to commit 1 to 2 lessons per week on a separate days. So if you want to complete your license within 6 months, you'll need to at least have 1 lesson per week. If you book your lessons too far apart, you'll start to forget what you've learned in the previous lesson. Yeah, it's kind of wasted. And the third tip, don't book a back-to-back lesson. You don't actually learn when your mental capacity is being stretched beyond what you can bear. And driving for more than 1.5 hours for a beginner, it's really tiring. My advice is to know your learning capacity and pace yourself. One moment! Commercial break. Going to the 6th point, as you're learning on the road, study for your FTT. So I failed my first FTT and I'm so glad that I failed. So that was when I got my book 2 and studied this thoroughly. Even when I got this book, I learned so much more new things as compared to doing the tests online. So after you pass your final theory test, you'll be able to book your simulator training course on the app. This is the least stressful stage in getting your license. This is a non-graded session and you are required to take minimally 3 lessons before you can start booking for your final test. You're not allowed to book your stimulator training course back to back, but you can actually book within the same day on a different time slot that is not back to back. By doing so, you just need to make 1 trip down and complete all 3 lessons in 1 day. Next, this is really based on your learning capacity. You should be in the circuit on your 13 to 15 lesson and about 7 to 8 circuit lessons to familiarize the route and understand how you'll be tested. In my experience, my instructor will settle all the booking of the circuit. So we'll start driving in the circuit for an hour before going out to the road for 30 minutes driving. The first to the third circuit lesson has been so stressful. Maybe the learning curve was really steep for me, but I remember the third lesson was so painful to go through. And I even had an argument with my instructor in the car. I think what worked for me and my instructor is when we learn to communicate the objectives and how we can both improve to make the process much easier to get through. So my instructor have passed me this motor car test assessment checklist. This is helpful because you're informed of how you're being marked, and this helped to increase your chances in passing for your practical test. Now we come to the final point, doing your practical test. My instructor kindly chose a date and time to avoid the heavy traffic on the road, but at the same time it was so early. So my test was set at 8 a.m. and I need to be there at 6:30 for my last lesson. But it was really worth it because it passed. But really, if you're not a morning person, I think maybe not. It's too much risk to waste a $400 test because you didn't turn up. You also receive a test result on the same day. Once you pass, you'll be qualified to apply for your QDL on an e-service police website. You'll receive your license in 5 working days with your beautiful and handsome face on it. And you can enjoy that moment of feeling like you're an adult for a good moment. I really hope this is helpful. It's a lot of information. I don't think you need to sit through everything if you're not taking a license. But if you're taking a license, I do think that this will be helpful information for you to take note. So here's the breakdown cost I've paid to get a Class 3 license in 2021. Do take note that the prices will definitely change in the coming months, so only take this as a gauge of how much you should save up for. One important lesson that I've learned is really to enjoy the process. I think because the process stretches from 6 to 9 months, it really became quite draggy for me at the end. And I had to mentally tell myself that you need to push through this and not waste the money, the effort that you have set aside for the past 5 months. The challenge that I faced was learning to coordinate well with my hands and leg at the same time. But I've learned that practices really helps and it becomes a muscle memory rather than something that you need to consciously remember, like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. There's a lot of links at the description box below, and I hope that those links are helpful to guide you and direct you to the right places on how to enroll yourself in getting a license. That's all. I will see you on the next video.